Carolyn Moor from the Modern Widows Club. Everyone here knows me. I'm the founder. And this whole month of April is Financial Literacy Month. And if you've noticed, we've actually had several people coming on and talking about financial health this whole month. And we have our third interview with Megan Kopka. Hello, Megan.
Hello, everybody.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Megan. She's our guest speaker tonight. She's a financial advisor. She's a widow champion. She's also a community advocate in the Cape Fear, Wilmington, North Carolina area. And she is the chair of our Golden Committee here at Modern Widows Club. You may not realize that we have all these committees, but the Golden Committee is really the committee that helps us. How would you put it, Megan?
All right, you ready? So we help address financial health of widows and the financial health of the Modern Widows Club. So what we do is we leverage our field of expertise and help guide and strengthen the organization as well as widows. And so we help connect Modern Widows Club with our network to hopefully build some successes. And we're also advisors that meet and try and help create a positive impact for the health and well-being of widows around the world.
Right. And so, we created the Golden Committee. Oh my gosh, probably about a year, at least a little bit longer than a year ago. And we really just started going, you helped us actually go out into the financial industry and say, who cares about widows? Who actually genuinely wants to invest and learn how to serve widows better, how to, let's talk about their needs specifically to the stage of widowhood. And I've learned a tremendous amount from you since meeting you. And then the events that we speak at, right, that really talk about the human side and how important it is to understand the human side of financial advising. I didn't know that existed until you exposed me to that. So tonight's topic, we're going to be discussing empowering feminine energy, because there's a majority of investors and donors actually at Modern Widows Club are women.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I just want to kind of start with that, because it's like when you empower a woman, traditionally she will invest back into her family and her community. And that is pretty much across the board from all kind of female oriented philanthropy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the feminine values, just if you Google it, women are supportive. We are the caretakers. We are the mothers. We care about our family, what's going on inside of our home. And then we send our little precious babies or our aging parents out into the community. We are very community, just supportive. And we're just, really designed in a way to be the nurturer. Now, whether that's by law or by actual nature or nurture, that's up for a serious question and to look at. But it does, single women actually do contribute more to secular charities of specific cause, more so than single men.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny that that actual investment in research, also same thing. There's more research in male industries and healthcare and really just any industry. But what I have found, even the research that we're doing with Washington University in St. Louis, it was actually a woman who was also widowed who actually made that possible to be able to partner with. And so she wielded her treasure, position, influence, and she made that happen. So we're going to be talking about like empowering the feminine energy. We empower widows here to thrive at Modern Widows Club in a lot of different ways. Financial health is absolutely one of the very first areas in new widowhood that becomes is critical, right?
Right. Yeah, I think it was in the conversation that you had with Daniel a couple weeks ago where you were like, oh my gosh, grief and fog, along with all of this state stuff, is happening all at the same time. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. And so I would encourage everyone who's listening right now, a strong feminine value is building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like, I can't speak highly enough. I know it's very scary to establish new relationships as a fresh widow. You and I have been there. We
Mm-hmm.
have watched all the secondary losses of the people who show up and surprise you. Some people show up and surprise you in good ways, and some people show up and surprise you in ways that you wish that they had not. You know, lifelong friends that don't know what to do with your grief or how to talk to you anymore. But I caution at the same time as encourage a relationship that you will want to establish as a fresh widow is with a grief support group, a grief counselor, and a certified financial planner. And I know that sounds really scary to get this intimate relationship going right when you are so raw, but there are mistakes that I see all the time. So if you lean in and embrace that feminine value of building a relationship and trusting your intuition is really hard to do too when you're super frazzled, but building the connection, finding someone you can talk to immediately can really add to your success. One of the things that has been researched is that financial literacy will lead to confidence. However, when you're a fresh widow, it's not necessarily the time to learn, right?
Right.
It's honestly, again, really scary. And I encourage people to bring like their brother or cousins or, you know, sister or whomever, somebody that you trust that you don't mind knowing your personal situation along with you to your financial planning meeting. Having second ears there, just like when you're in a health appointment, sometimes, you know, having someone else there help and guide in the conversation and lean on their intuition too. Like, what did you think about this person? And try to interview a couple of them because again, like financial literacy, your own financial attitudes, right? Daniel touched on this because that could be something you need therapy about, but all lead to your financial well-being. And the better your financial well-being is, will improve your confidence along the way. And so when we talked about, you know, health and wealth, it's happening all at the same time. You know, leaning in and trying to trust yourself and building that new relationship, I think is imperative because you're going to have a connection with a financial planner like you've never had before. And I will tell you what my financial planner said to me. And I say this to my clients now. So, hi, Stephen, you can own this. It is that this is the most intimate professional relationship
Mm-hmm.
that you will probably ever establish.
That's
And
right.
it's important. It's very important because money touches everything.
Everything. That's right. Everything. And the two things you're talking about, the relationship and the confidence, I always like to put an equal because what we're trying to get to is peace of mind.
Right.
Peace of mind.
Right. Yeah. So, like a fresh widow, her ultimate goal, like her best vision might be, my goodness, I just want to sleep through the night. Okay. What do we need to get you through sleeping through the night? Well, I don't understand auto pay. Okay, let's share screen and let's go through some auto pay. Let's go through
Mhm.
some just general banking. Who's going to do that with you? Like, there are a lot of financial advisors out there that won't. I think you've seen a different group in the network that you've been exposed to through me and the others in the Golden Committee. Yeah. So
Yeah, that is true. Honestly, it- I was fortunate because my financial advisor I am close to already when she became it, and so I think I had an advantage there.
yeah.
But there was such a big learning curve, and I'll tell you, it was really hard to ask really hard questions about my future uh, because everyone's idea for the life that they want to create is different.
Mhm.
And I really, more than anything, I think she just helped me understand the framework of what was possible so then I could dream. I think, you know, I wouldn't say that I haven't really been concerned about finances because I've been a solo parent and single woman for 23 years. So I have managed all of the expenses, and I'm extremely experienced now. But like I had confessed earlier, I never even balanced my checkbook before I became widowed. And so I say that because we can sit here and we can talk about these values that we play, because my value was I wanted to save for my daughters for an education. They were two of my daughters were under 4. And I was thinking about that at age 2 and 4. How do I get there in, 15 years from now? How do I do that? And those are the conversations that you have every day. Yeah.
Right. So you bring it back to like the feminine value of collaboration. And that's what you'll get from a financial planner. I don't stand between my clients and their money, right? You don't stand in between it. We're here to collaborate with one another. I need to, and I'm sure your advisor did this for you, is I need to hold space for the widow who's in front of me. And when Robin spoke last time, she talked about the transition. She's a certified financial transitionist, and she talked about that passage being 7 years. I mean, we're talking about transition after transition after transition. We lost our spouse. And then the secondary losses happen for years to come. And during those years to come, we're also evolving into letting go of something that we thought was our truth and our future and our whole path moving forward, and envisioning something that's new, and that's going to change quite a bit over
Absolutely
a lifetime, right? I think I joke about chapter 2. I'm like, girlfriend, I'm on like my 7th chapter, and I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about like we have a book of life, and our life has different phases in it, right? So I like your 7th.
right.
I'm about to finish with chapter 7.
Right. Well, and it's and honestly, for me, I was a big Susie Orman fan. I mean, I just kind of poured myself into learning, and of course went to the bookstore, and I found some books that I related to and that spoke my language. Right. This is a woman who is speaking my language. One of the questions that we have over here, Megan, is what do you say to a woman who feels like she doesn't have enough money to warrant a CPA?
So there's Wings for Widows. I know that NAPFA, the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, and the CFP, the Certified Financial Professionals, they all have volunteer work that can be done. So I need to get the links for the application process for those places, because people are generous with their time. Everyone wants to be generous with their expertise. I shouldn't say everyone. I do. I do a widow plan every year for free. They're usually someone within my sphere. So I don't hold an application process. But there's also the Financial Planning Association also keeps track of the nonprofit work that advisors are doing. And, we do need to define our enough. We should be looking at what is enough. Are you looking at paying somebody hourly? Arguably, there's a lot of fees that come out of financial accounts just in general. And getting help to get on your feet. I have a basic targets sheet that I am happy to share with anyone anytime, so they can email me.
Well, actually, in our Hope e-course, and if you go over to courses.modernwidowsclub.org and you sign up for our Hope free e-course, there's actually some financial health information there that can help you, and it's available to anyone. Another resource is, and yours are in there, in our Hope, in our Heal, and our Grow e-courses. You've generously contributed to all of those e-courses. There's also Savvy Ladies. I mean, I would go right. Stacey Francis, I mean, she has a really great some resources over there, and so they exist, right? The point is that some of that sometimes United Way has financial advisors you can actually use. So sometimes it's a little bit of asking around, but her question was, well, as women, it's like, you're right. What is enough? What is enough? because that's constantly changing too, based on our job, based on if we had life insurance, based on long term, when we're retiring, all of those things.
Right. And I will tell you, I mean, Susie Orman, I love her. I
Mm-hmm.
would like, I would like to be, as I've said before to you, the Susie Orman for widows. However, I'm not going to diss my industry because I have lots of colleagues, many of whom you've met, Carolyn, that I absolutely adore. The financial industry is not all horrible, bad apples. There's just a few that give everybody a bad reputation, or people get very, very confused. So I would start with the CFP website, Certified Financial Planners. They're a nonprofit, and their mission was to be the gold standard in our industry, to be a place where consumers could go and know that their financial advisor has the critical education for personal finance.
Right. Well, that's a great resource. I learned about that through you. And, when we talk to me a little bit about, because we talk about this a lot when we're together, to not confuse money with joy.
Yeah. I think a lot of people will identify like this new range of emotion that we have, right? We have probably a deeper range of emotion as widows than we had prior. And there is a lot of sorrow in our joy.
Yeah.
There is a lot of joy in our sorrow. Money did not buy for me what my heart desires, right? So I do want to just take a moment and talk a little bit about life insurance proceeds, right? A lot of people struggle with wrongful death suits and compensation, whether it was negligence or what have you, or just basic life insurance. And I just implore you to look at that like that is good family planning. Life insurance was meant to be purchased to make sure that your income is replaced when you have people that are dependent on your income. So take a breath and just give yourself some grace that money does not buy him back. What I really wanted, no money in the world could have bought for me, which was better health for Keith and more time healthy together. Okay, so
yeah, that's exactly what it did for me. It gave me the ability to be with my daughters for the first year.
Yeah. And so planning out that time of how long is the money gonna last, or how do I get myself back on my feet with the survivor benefits? And I know for you, Carolyn, and for me, like the solo parenting, the motherhood with dependent children at home is very, very difficult.
Yes.
You can't even think about your own grief and your own goals initially. I mean, for me, I grieved as a mother first and projected all of my junk on my kids, which was unfair. But I think it's natural.
I do too.
And again, maybe money buys you time, maybe it can buy you some resources. However, it's not going to fix the problem. We have to go through a grief process, like it or not. We have to go through the estate closing process and the retitling of accounts. I try and frame that idea of closing an estate as touching the things because he lived.
Yes,
like
yes.
there's the world knows that he was alive. He had a footprint here. And it is really sad. And I hope for some people it is cathartic. Don't get me wrong. There are times where I wanted to pull my hair out because there's certain places that are antiquated processes, or they don't give you the full information. But I hope that it's a cathartic process to go through, and that you look at it as a piece of self-care and honoring your loved one.
Right. That's actually a beautiful way of putting it. I've never heard you say that. I'm touching a piece of that when they were alive. And, I think, for a lot of people, they don't realize that it may take our research shows that women are in brain fog for around 2 years,
Mhm.
at least a year, up to 2 years. And most estates do not get resolved for 2 years or
Yeah,
more, but
right.
it's within that time frame. And so it's, there's a lot of, you always talk about a lot of other values that we really need to just have close in mind. Can you share a little bit about some of those? Because we're talking about a long period of time.
Yeah.
And
The one,
every month we're talking about bills, but then on top of that, financial, just daily, monthly bills is all of the other things in which can go in an order or not. But there is some kind there's some kind of order there in the beginning. But what about these other values, aside from the relationship and building confidence and that you talk about?
I mean, even with what you just said, the collaboration and
Mhm.
relationship piece are just like they're screaming to me. And they're also the nurturing, the idea of giving yourself grace. Can you be a self nurturer? And we talk about this in all 7 of our pillars, right? Can
Mhm.
you self nurture through finance? Can you do it through physical health? I mean, oh gosh. So a bunch of us were in a group chat yesterday watching Matthew McConaughey's Art of Living. And one of the things that he talked about was he wrote that Green Lights book, right?
Right? Yeah, I love it.
About the whole purpose of this was to find the gift in the red light. Boy, did we all get a big red light, right? And he said, can we honor the crisis or the loss in that red light? And then the last thing that he said, losses make you listen to your heart, right? In 2 years, I don't know if I could hear my own heart. I
Mm-mm.
heard the cacophony of a bazillion other emotions going on, the anger, the fear, the disarray, disorganization. I just call it grief now. Like grief is the umbrella of everything that's the quote unquote negative emotion you could possibly feel. And it's all happening at one time. And I also describe it, I'm like, it is like being unskinned
Mhm.
and the wind is blowing and it hurts. Or I describe it like your heart has been going over a cheese grater. My God, like these are horrifying. Like if you really visualize that, you need to triage yourself as your own mom, as your own nurse, as your own everything.
Mhm.
It's so hard. I know you've been there. I've been there. Everyone who's listening has been there.
Well, and next month our topic is mothering yourself because it's Mother's Day month, and I'm gonna be make sure you look for that video. I think it's interesting that you were watching Matthew McConaughey. I follow him. He is such. Um, I would love for him to be a huge widow advocate for us because his mother, his Mima, she always comes on his social sites, and she is awesome. I mean, she is the epitome of optimism and facing fears. And you look at her and you go, "No wonder Matthew McConaughey turned out like that." Right? Like, look at his mom.
Yeah.
Um, I would love for her to like come to our widow empowerment event someday. But yeah, that red light, seeing the gift in the red light, because that certainly was what happened with our life, was a complete hard stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, this month we talked about embracing feminine values. We talked about friendship and love and how we lift each other up. And we do that by going to our community meetings. Like Modern Widows Club has built out this just unbelievably beautiful place for us to thrive, for us to be vulnerable, for us to like make sure that we lean in and are able to have these authentic, vulnerable conversations. You do such a great job with the topics, and like this month was one of them.
Yep.
Even the book club that aligned with it. I mean, you are telling all like through just the estate planning process, you're taking everyday ordinary people and throwing them into the legal and financial realm and like here, poof, 52 pickup, figure it all out. And it's hard. It was hard for me. It's hard for most people. And some
Well,
people aren't kind enough to use regular everyday words, layman
yeah.
terms.
Well, giving was a language, certainly giving them a space to be able to talk about the things that are happening simultaneously in our life, all the areas that are impacted. Widowhood is an all-front attack on women's health. And it's not just in one area. This is why we have these 7 pillars. And we learned that because we listened to widows. But more importantly, we don't just listen to widows, we actually believe them. We
Yeah.
actually believe them when they tell us they actually need certain types of support. And then we in the back end find amazing support like you and Daniel and Robin. And that's just the financial health pillar, right?
Right.
In physical health, we have Tara and Dr. Marissa, and this weekend is the Widow Empowerment event on April 29th, and we work hard to find speakers that are extremely relevant about building resilience and about talking about the real impact of grief on our life. And you're right, we've built this structure, but you know what, all of you cared too. That's what I love about the community that we've built here. We're actually finding the people who care about widows. And then as a collective, we're advancing widow support solutions and even research, because that's the future. We talk about this all the time. This is the future. What
I
was given to widows in the past is not enough.
Right. And we've also, as mothers of daughters, have talked about, I want this world to be a better place for our daughters. I want it to be better for my now fictitious granddaughters. Hopefully someday. The generations to come. I know, as awful as it was to be a caregiver and to watch Keith die, he did that. I did that alongside him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say it was easy, but it was easier. He was there. He was part of the voice. He had impact. He had a say so. There was a charge in living a legacy together. And
Right.
then all of that was gone in one breath, from wife to widow, from caregiver to nothing, and it crushed me. And I can't even imagine, Carolyn, like what crippled me the most, to pick myself back up, to be supported in the way that I was through Modern Widows Club. And, for the longest time, it was only mainly through Facebook posts. I was like, is this organization for real?
Right.
You're so positive and, helping me move forward. The finding a mentor in life is so huge.
It is. It's actually, the Pivot mentoring program that will start up again in July. Well, actually, you're a graduate of Pivot from last year, and now you actually speak in the financial health as a guest speaker. Um, wow, are those some really raw conversations about financial reality? Women want to talk about money. There's so much shame and guilt, and we've talked about that in the past with Robin, um, with her talk. But wow, what a difference it makes when you're actually able to be in a very safe, non-judgmental environment and talk about um, the many aspects of money in our life, insurance, taxes, everything. And for those of you who are there's a couple questions here in the chat. Megan will come and answer some of those on Facebook. She's over there. We have one question here. Megan is asking about she says, I have a CPA, but I don't invest the life insurance money with the planner. I figured I needed the money for the next few years to pay household expenses, put a roof over my head. Yes, I've heard of some companies often offering 4% in savings. I know I need FDIC insured, definitely. Do you have any advice for us?
Yeah, I mean, you can Google best money market savings rates. I know in Wilmington, North Carolina, Live Oak Bank, I've been referring local clients there. I believe Synchrony Bank has a very high paying money market. A money market at the bank is liquid. It will pay you hopefully north of 4%, 4+%. I just got a message from a client today who got a 4.8 short-term CD. So you can ladder out CDs at the bank. The bank is where it's FDIC insured, not SIPC. SIPC is with investments. So there are money markets on the investment side, but those are funds and traded, and that's probably too much information for this talk.
Right, exactly, right.
The
But that's
question
okay. We like to talk about money at every one of our events. For those of you who come, well, Megan, you'll be speaking at the Widow Empowerment event in St. Louis this year.
I'll be speaking in September. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I am on my own path becoming a registered life planner. And what that helps me do is it helps me help you explore and visualize what's next.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Well, Jenny actually said over here, she goes, I love that you're finding the people who care. Widows have a tendency to be invisible in certain arenas, and it is likely to happen to the majority of women. And that is, in fact, true. 70% of all women will become widowed. It is my honor, my duty, and my responsibility as a lifelong widow advocate to ensure that no widow is left behind and no widow is left invisible. And I know Megan feels exactly the same because we have spent many, many hours together talking about how to make known what is unknown. Right. And oh my God, I have this sticky here and I got to share it with you, Megan, before we close. I said, we cannot ignore the shadows cast by oppressive systems.
Ooh, girl, that makes me think of my last LinkedIn post.
We cannot ignore those casts. We refuse to be oppressed. Thank you.
Oh gosh, yeah. So you got to kill them with kindness. I think that's another value, right? We are women advocates for sure. That is and we always go back to grace, right? For ourselves, for others. I think it helps bring people into our community and help understand us a little bit better.
That's right.
This has been a hard journey for sure. And I definitely have been inspired by the Legendary Widows for sure. So I'm so glad that you brought that program to us because it gives us the idea that we can leave our own legacy as well. Especially
I'm telling people's secrets right now. No one knows about that yet.
No, we do a Legendary Widow every month. What are you talking about?
I mean the legend. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I'm talking. Sorry. I'm talking about, yes, the Legendary Widows every month, the example, the role models, because we believe in imitating resilient role models. This is Dr. Stephen Southwick's book right here, the Resilience, the Master. We know we integrate that real 25 years worth of resilient science into all of our programs. We are actually building resilience in every one of the pillars when anyone is on a call like this or in one of our e-courses or attending one of our events or coach-a-thons or our pivot mentoring program. We're integrating all of that. And it's a true lifeline for widows. Is what we've created here. And you have been a huge part of it. Your contribution on the Golden Committee and really introducing us to people who really genuinely care and invest in this organization. Let's not forget about that, right? There's nothing like having skin in the game in something that you believe needs to exist.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think financial planners, again, like I'm a stats nerd like you are. And I absolutely love the research that we're doing. And because money touches everything, it's like the research never stops for me either. I just look at it through the lens of financial planning. And to share and close with you guys, financial planners are really in this unique position to help you explore what's next and to help you build that financial confidence when you're ready, right? It's not ready to learn right away, but having a financial planner can really help you from the day-to-day to that long term. You just have to trust yourself, ask the right questions, and get in front of the right financial planner. And if you need help, anyone on the Golden Committee can help steer you towards those people. Carolyn and I were just in a seminar with hundreds of them.
That's right. Thank you, Megan. Well, thank you for coming on and having this idea for a financial series this month. I think it's going to end up being every year.
Yeah, April's financial
Why
series.
not? Of course, it should be. It's part of our pillars, and so um, thank you, thank you for genuinely leading the way when it comes to financial literacy and also support for widows at our organization. And I couldn't think of a better soul to do this with. Love you.
I love you too. Thank you for holding the space for all of us and all the pillars. So thank you so much for all your hard work.
Yeah. So come and meet Megan September 22nd through the 24th at our Widow Empowerment event live. It's going to be in St. Louis, Missouri at the Hilton at the ballpark. And you'll get to talk her ear off or she'll get to talk your ear off, one or the other. Love you, girl.
I love you too.
Everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.